All right, let's get started. It's been a while. It's been, geez, I think exactly 10 days. Oh well, let's get rolling. So this is chapter 7 of Violet Prelude, and this is Sympathy for the Devil, and it is a relatively shorter chapter. And as you can see, I actually managed to, I don't know what I was doing before, but you can actually see most of the screen now, which is kind of nice. So I'm not sure what resolution changed or anything like that, but let us just begin. I'm gonna yawn. Ha! Sorry. Okay. With the warmth of the night fire still coursing through his veins, Silas stood, uncharacteristically tall, before the gaping maw of the riftworks. The place was still in shambles, though the emergency lights had since been deactivated, making the ruins a nearly pitch-black cavern of warped and torn metal. Stepping into the antechamber, his mind couldn't help but slip back to a few moments prior. He set out to leave. Jaren intercepted him, turning him around. The taller man gently straightened his tie. Gotta look your best if you're so set on facing the devil. A smile crossed his lips, even now as the darkness of the works consumed him. Prepare, and then I'm not doing a robotic voice. Silas was quick to dodge out of the chamber and into the hall. Silas was quick to dodge out of the chamber and into the hall, just in time to hear the hissing of the powder that once was no more than a nuisance. Now it was some kind of poison that would burn his flesh. Oh, I forgot to look up the Xanthus key code. Alright. What's going on here? Hold up, opening my sampler page. We're gonna go to the site. Real quick. My computer always wants to go to .wordpress.com. Oh, also, that was it. I had to download. Now it's gonna be hidden again. Also, I did a little work on the site. I guess we can do a quick aside. I got the about sections a little not on the front page anymore. We got a writing ham and a contact page, but this is kind of the same. The big thing is I put all these stories straight on the home page. So now there's no more multiple clicks to get to the story. You're here, you click this, boom. You're there. But while we're doing that, let's go ahead and pop in here. We're going to, Henley talks a lot in this one, I think. Just going to go ahead and scroll down until we see him yapping. I guess that's going to be on another page. Oh, this is the chapter where Kaitax talks. Oh, there we go. So I think this is what we decided is Xanthus. So let me just get my color sampler. From desktop. That looks good. I'm gonna just try it one more time to make sure it's definitely that color. Get a nice big fat letter. That's a different readout. FF versus FF. Oh, D. Are they all that? FFD. I meant to do this before the stream began, but FFD64D. What is this up here? FFD65-9. I don't know what the difference is. FFD64-8. It looks like we're going to have to get close around there. So let's just cancel this. Close down. Go over here real quick. And the funny thing is, I used to be able to just Google this and it would come up, like, done. Now it's FFD 659. We're going to call that the Xanthus we're using because that's the closest to what I could find. And I think this is technically already colored on the screen, but FFD 659. But for the sake of keeping it, making sure it actually is, we'll just fill in those colors. Okie dokie. Ah, there you are. A familiar voice echoed over the intercom. You've kept me waiting for far too long, Silas. Please, make your way to my office. Take your time, of course, as you've already made a habit of doing so. Eat me, Henley, Silas hissed without opening the intercom of his own. Perhaps. We'll see how our little meeting goes. He could hear the sinister grin in Henley's words. Shaking his head and without another word, Silas began making his way into the bowels of the riftworks. It was lucky he really did know the place like the back of his hand. Without any lights, it was as though the facility was built like a labyrinth of doors and halls. The main hall would just run you in circles unless you knew what detour to take or what floor you wanted, and which stair/elevator would get you there. Henley's office was on the far side, was on one of the lowest possible levels, situated directly under the rift. Typically, it took the highest security levels possible to get there, but in its current state, everything in the works was wide open for anyone to enter. Silas imagined Henley using the derelict place to attract unwitting humans into his lair and to devour them or some other heinous act of torment. Soon enough, he stood outside the carved oak door to Henley's quarters. For some reason, Henley had made his living area a stark contrast to the cold steel of the facility itself. Everything within was warm and soft. Woods, silks, luxurious carpets, luxurious rugs. Luxury, a strange gem at the heart of such a heartless place. Raising his hand to knock, the door swung open on its own. There stood Henley, looking a bit less human than usual. It was something about his proportions that just seemed wrong. Well, 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 he breathed. You finally made it. You finally arrived. Come in. Long, claw-like fingers motioned for him to enter the room. Ignoring Henley's towering height and imposing grin, Silas entered with a nod, taking his place on the bare-bones chair pulled up to the desk. Oh, now. Henley slid up behind him with unnatural deftness. How about this for a change? The closet door swung open and a much more plush chair slid out, slipping behind the chair, he inched it closer to Silas. Silas stared at the piece of furniture for a long while. I can assure you there is nothing special or enchanted about it. I merely save it for dignitaries and important visitors. Henley's face crept up from behind the back of the chair. You are a most distinguished guest, Silas, so I offer this seat to you. Henley's claws clicked and clacked around the wooden frame. Silas continued staring. Come now. Come now, dear Silas. This may be the last time we speak. It may even be the last time you draw a breath. Henley ducked down behind the chair. Hang on. Like I said, this probably is. You should be comfortable to the end. His head slowly slid out to the side. Come, take a seat. Silas scoffed. If there's nothing special about that thing, why are you so dead set on getting me to sit on it? Why? Oh, wait. Why? Henley slithered out from behind the chair. Comfort, and nothing more. He's going to talk a lot, so we're going to be pausing to do this a lot. His claws stretched above his head. In case you missed it, I'm all about momentary comfort. It is, as a mortal might say, my aesthetic. Glaring at Henley with every ounce of doubt and hatred in his soul, Silas remained on his wooden chair. Fine, Henley sighed. Be that way. I'll just leave this here in case you change your mind. With that, he slid behind the desk and into his insanely high-backed chair. Now, he folded his claws across his chest. Where would you like to begin? Silas hadn't thought about what he'd actually want to find out. All he knew was that this moment had come, not what he'd asked. Okay, hang on, this is... Silas hadn't thought about what he actually wanted to know. That's a bit better. All he knew was that this moment was coming. Not what he'd do with it. Try that again. Silas hadn't thought about what he actually wanted to know. All he knew was that this moment was coming and not what to do with it. Okay, let's just pre-color this, I suppose. That'll just do fine. I'll make it simple. You have, 3 You mortals like three. 3 questions, and I'll answer them as truthfully as possible. Henley's maddening grin returned. I'll give you one free factoid, as it were. You're already well aware of what I am, a Void Lord. It's not as grand as you would think. We merely maintain the highest level of consciousness in the void. We can come and go freely, though besides myself, we largely choose to remain within the safety of our home. We can make thralls of mortals and lesser spawns alike, but those require care and feeding, things I have not the time nor patience for. What about Kaitax? Salos immediately bit his lip. That wasn't the question he wanted to lead with. Henley's eyes narrowed, though a grin remained on his face. As it is relevant to the topic at hand that I initiated, I will not count this as your first question. The grin faded as his brows furrowed. Kaitax. Kaitax is... The simplest term I can conjure is that he's a traitor. A fleeting moment of flinching pain crossed Henley's face. Kaitax is complicated. His treachery should not have been possible, yet it was. What did he do? Silas could feel himself sliding towards the edge of his seat. Henley sighed deeply. Though I know the truth, his claws clamped over the armrests of his chair. Leaning forward, a small groan came from his lips. He betrayed the void. That's all I can say. Henley panted as he righted himself in the chair. Yes. 'Tis best you know no more than that. Silas scoffed. If you're some brutal killer, maybe I should know? Henley's eyes darted about the room. It is complicated. Kaitax is complicated. He repeated with almost the exact same tone as before. Silas sat back in his chair, unimpressed thus far with Henley's control of the situation, though not forgetting the strange bouts of pain that seemed to overtake him. Fine, he's complicated, but is he evil? Actually, those bouts of pain are really important because I forgot if I actually referenced those. Come here, notebook. Come here. Sorry, it's behind my... It was behind my pretzel bag. Oh crud, where's my pen? $5 says my cat took it to the floor. Damn, I had that pen for a while too. Oh, here it is. Yes. Not to the floor, just to... Oh, it's gonna be dry. Pop that cap off its butt. Hold on. Come on, come back. I love you. Yeah. Okay. 04/24/20. I date everything. Live stream notes. Okay. Henley's bouts of pain are mentioned. That's actually really important. Cool. I wasn't sure if that was something I had covered this early on or if I just all of a sudden sprung it up at the beginning of the next arc. I think I knew more of what was going on back then. Part of this spreading out the chapters being weekly updates thing is I look at it a little less, so consistency is probably going to get a little more wild. But hopefully we'll go through them all and we'll get it all up to snuff. My biggest goal, as I think I've mentioned before, is just getting this arc done. So the sooner I get it done, the sooner I can pass it on to a real editor and get it published. That's the goal. Anyway, Silas sat back in his chair, unimpressed thus far with Henley's control of the situation, though not forgetting the strange bouts of pain that seemed to overtake him. Fine, he's complicated, but is he evil? Henley sat back in his chair, fixing the disheveled strands of hair back into their place. Evil is a mortal concept. The void fails to grasp such black and white ideas. We all have our purpose and intentions. Some have less will than others, but we all have our place. But he's a traitor. Indeed, Kaitax is a traitor. However, does treachery by default mean evil? Silas studied Henley's features carefully. He looked tired and worn with Alright. He looked tired and worn regardless of how warped his face had become. That's a lot better. There are details you do not know, details you cannot know, things I cannot share, though I wish I could. Why? Why can't you tell me what happened? A shriek of pain shot from Henley. His claws clutched the sides of his head as he leaned forward onto the desk. As you can see, he panted, I am not entirely in control of another momentary hiss of pain, of myself. I have, he righted himself, the remnants of blue mist wafted. Ooh! I could say this because nobody's ever going to watch this. The big bad is pink. I know that kind of... Oh my god, it's so bad. That was the blue... Back when I was writing this, I made it so one of the higher ranking lords was able to corrupt Henley. But that's not the case, because later on in the next arc, I fixed it and made it so it was the actual big bad who can control Henley. And the big bad is... Because one of the highest ranking lords is oriented with blue. And the highest, he's not even a lord, he's just like the god of the zone. He's pink. There's a reason for that too, but he's pink. And yeah, that's one thing that's gonna have to be weird about publishing this. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, I guess I really don't have to. It's just more because of this is how I want the story to be told, that there's coloring, and I don't think I actually have to identify the voices as such. It's just there was something about the coloring and the change of who's speaking, how they're speaking. Because to me, Henley speaking in yellow sounds different than Kaitak speaking in purple, or the blue one speaking in blue. You're actually going to meet her at the end of this, and all the others speaking in their colors. They all sound different to me, and I know it's not something that necessarily conveys. But that's just, something I like to see, because they have colors and they have sects, and they have spheres of influence, and they all kind of fit together for me. Henley is yellowish gold. This should be a little closer to gold, because he's kind of got the avarice and pride and all that kind of stuff. And he's also a bit of a coward, believe it or not. So, yellow. That suits him. As for purple belonging to Kaitak, that was at first more of an aesthetic thing, because I wanted him to have the purple angle. But he's purple for a completely different reason now that I've fleshed out everybody's history. He has an affinity to a different kind of entity, and because of that, he's a perverse mix of the pink and someone else. So yeah. So anyway, I'm not in control of myself. He righted himself, the remnants of a pink mist wafted from the corners of his eyes. I have my limits. He cleared his throat as he leaned back into his chair, forcing an air of comfort. The other thing is pink doesn't sound threatening. But to me, every time I envisioned this character, I tried to make him... I was going to say he's red, but then I realized red actually belongs to a different character. I said maybe like blood red, just, get... And I was like, red's very cliche for the enemy. And I actually don't use red to represent evil in this series. Red represents actual mortals, so blood, mortal, that's what red means. It doesn't mean evil at all. So I don't want to confuse that symbolism in this universe. So I kind of thought, like, what's kind of red but not? And here's the dumbest part. I was trying to think of what's one of the most vile concepts you can consider. And I was thinking, like, and this is probably going to be, like, too violent or something to put on YouTube. But that's going to go on anyway. This will just get... My whole 5 subscribers will just not see it. The idea of, like, blending an entire human body or something like that. I imagined it would come out kind of pinkish. It'd probably be more red, but, skin, flesh, because when you cut yourself, it looks a little pink under there. Muscle, whatever, that like bone. And I was like, pink's a pretty disgusting color. And so I decided that would be the villain's color. He's pink. He is... there's nothing wrong with pink, really, but when you ascribe kind of that disgusting aesthetic to it, yeah, it's a pretty gross color. So, yeah. I have officially designated the evil as Pink, and he is the one who can tap into the lords and manipulate them. So, bit of a spoiler. Not who, not how, anything like that, but bit of a spoiler still. Discussing Kaitax is off the table. In truthful detail, yes. But Silas snorted. That's why I'm here. You promised me information about Kaitax. If you can't give me that, why am I here? I promised to have answers. Answers you clearly don't have. Silas stood up, slamming his hands on the desk. So what good is some immortal horror that can't even speak the truth? Why am I here? Let's get to the part where you offer me an ultimatum and I refuse. Then some long drawn-out chase scene where I'll probably die. Can we just get there? Can we just get there then? I don't need the then. Because if you can't give me the answers I want, I have nothing left to say to you. Henley sat in bated silence. His claws tapped on, clasping and unclasping on his chest, across his chest. It was clear that there was something on the tip of his tongue, something he wanted to say but couldn't. I read a little too fast, I know. I gotta work on that. Actually, I just uploaded a video today. I uploaded a video yesterday. I'm so angry about how messed up it got, but I was so tired that I uploaded it anyway. It was explaining the RPG game. And I spent two days, probably like 16 hours working on that video. And I don't know what happened, but the audio got utterly mangled. And I exported it like 3 different times and it just stayed mangled. So I was like, you know what, I can't do it again. So I uploaded it. So not that one, but I uploaded, I'm doing class profiles for the RPG classes. And I uploaded the warden one today. No, the engineer. I always want to say warden first, but engineer is first. And I tried to speak very clearly and very directly. And it does sound weird to me, but I think that's the best way, honestly, when you're trying to communicate, because I didn't blend any words together or muddle anything. It was, I think it went fairly well. Still bitching about my resolution. That's strange. Open widget. Hold on, can I fix this now? Oh no, it's just telling me, all my setting issues. Now, my problem with this, and I don't know if anybody can help me, is OBS says my resolution is, what is it? What does it say my resolution is? I don't think I can pull it back up now without screwing up the stream. 1920 by 1080 or something like that. But YouTube is reading it as, oh, it's gone. 800 by something. Wasn't even like a normal resolution. It's just weirdly wrong. Yeah, it says I got a good connection though. And apparently me watching it from the dashboard counts as a viewer, so that's always weird. Same on Twitch. And by the way, I do still do some gaming over on Twitch, but this is a little more important, so we're here on the YouTubes. Because, as you've noticed, when these are done, I put them straight up. Also, something I should mention, not that anybody's going to watch this, but I fixed up the Facebook page if anybody's interested in that. Don't ask. It's under, quote, new management. I handed it off to, quote, someone else. So, should be more active now with its own unique content. Or, well, not just copy pastes from Instagram. Duh. Let's see if I can color this before I read it. I know it's kind of obnoxious to keep stopping doing this, but this is just for the site's purposes. When I compile all of this into one document to send to an editor, obviously I'll take all the color out. It's going to be a pain in my butt, but because they're going to ask why is somebody bold and why is somebody italics? And I'll be like, italics matters because it matters. Italics to me is thought, or in Kaitax's conversation, it is just his voice. He speaks that way. So if it's a thought, there's no quotes. If it's him actually speaking, there's quotes around it. So I know there's a sequence earlier on that might have been a little confusing in that department because I was trying to envision them seamlessly switching in the middle of a conversation, and I think that might have been a little confusing. But that's why I'm gonna hand it off to somebody who's a little more professional at this. I don't know how much I'll change on the site, but for the sake of publishing, yeah, I will make some changes. I will put it this way, and if there's like really good changes that need to happen, the site will get them too. But there's certain aesthetic things I don't really want to change. But for the sake of publishing, yeah, they might get a slightly different version. I'll put it this way. He rested his hands on the desk. There is much more to this than Kaitax and myself. There are forces far beyond us that you could spend your... I don't think this comment needs to be here. That you could spend your entire existence trying to understand. Them doesn't need to be there. There are forces so far beyond us that you could spend your entire existence trying to understand. Oh. Starting to read the whole thing. Understand them, and you'd never even break through the surface. I do what I must. Lord Kaitax, he didn't do what he should have and paid the price. That's all. That is all. Silas. Henley stood up to look him in the eyes. The politics of the void are very complicated. It is no place for mortals. Give me your 3 questions, and I will give you the truest answers I can. When we are done, I will give you my ultimatum, which you have already declared you will reject. Yet I must offer it nonetheless. Fine. Silas slammed his fist into the desk. Fine. He sat back in his chair. 3 questions, then we can move on. Henley nodded as he settled down back into his own seat. I don't think that down needs to be there. Question 1. Silas audibly snarled. Why are you here? To herald the destruction of your world. Question 1, Part 2. Why? A sly grin crossed Henley's lips. I'll allow it. Why? He paused a moment and thought. Because it is what I have always done. It is what I will continue to do for the rest of my existence. I have no choice. Because your world's time has come, and this is what I have always done. It is what I will continue to do for the rest of my existence. I have no choice. Pain shot through his gaze. It lasted only a moment, but it was clearly noticeable. So you're destroying our world because you have to. Because it is my place. We all have our place. This is mine. I have my reasons, though if I did not, I would not have the choice to stop. Henley flinched again. Yours is not the first, nor will it be the last. The void is unending and eternal. We will never stop. Question 2. Why is the void invading mortal worlds? Ah, a sad grin settled on Henley's narrow lips. That is the question, isn't it? But I cannot answer it. Suffice it to say, it is retribution for the follies of mortals that long predated your species' existence. So we're all paying for something someone else did? Precisely. Why? Why would we suffer for someone else's crimes? Henley sighed. Because the void has a simple view of things. Either you are of the void or you are mortal. Tears open at random, one at a time. Mortal worlds are chosen to be punished and inevitably consumed by the void. Earth was not chosen for any special reason. It was merely your time. Silas shook his head. Do I have another question? Henley nodded idly. I suppose you do. Who are you? A long, drawn-out silence filled the office space. Their eyes locked onto each other, unblinking. Who am I? Henley was the first to break the silence. Who am I? Curious. No one's ever asked me that before, and I've had this conversation many times. Wait, has Kaitax... Henley sighed. You're not the first, no, but you are the last. There will be no others. After you. What happened to them? I devoured them, body, mind, and memory, consumed in an instant that none but myself can remember. None who were willing to take my thraldom, none were strong enough to escape, and so they paid the price. I did what I had to, and erased them from existence. It is what will become of you, Silas, should this interaction end poorly. I can assure you, however. He leaned forward on the desk. That no matter what happens here, should you actually manage to do what your predecessors failed to accomplish, you will be devoured there as well. Your only hope to survive is to accept servitude under my command. Answer my question. Who are you? And what an excellent question it is, truly. And as I said, I've never had to answer it before. He stood up from the desk. All of Henley's features elongated. His eyes became vertical slants in his head. His nose disappeared. His mouth became a tear across his porcelain flesh. Rising up on his tendrils, his fingers stretched into impossibly long claws. His legs twisted together, forming one long tendril hanging from his torso. I am Horrocks, father's herald, harbinger of death, savior of the third brood, the strongest of my kin. Silas looked entirely unfazed by the sudden warping of a humanoid form into something completely and monstrously different. Horrocks burst out laughing as he settled back into his chair. You aren't the least bit afraid of me? Silas shook his head. To be honest, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I assumed far worse, than yet another tentacle monster. Laughter filled the room. It boomed and echoed off of every wall. Oh, my dear Silas, killing you is going to hurt me so much. I will miss you dearly. Perhaps. Old. Boom. A tendril rested his chin as if in thought. I will keep your essence alive to entertain me. You'll dance for me when I dream, sing for me while I sleep. Oh, how much fun an eternity could be were I to spare you the absolute destruction of true death. Are you going to let me go? Oh no. Oh no. Eric stood up again. No, not at all. But I have one last question, right? Silas backed himself as far into the chair as he could. Indeed, you do, my little mortal. Indeed, you do. What happens if I succeed? There's some stuff in here that I'm going to have to keep an eye on. Okay. Okay. I think that fixes it. A horrifying grin appeared on Horrocks' lips, fading into a deep frown. Then you will do naught but forestall the inevitable. Kytex is nothing but a thorn in my side. Too weak to make any meaningful difference, but just strong enough to make every move I take more arduous. You save no one by agreeing to his conditions. You prevent nothing by accepting his boon. You merely prolong the death of your world and everyone you've ever held dear. But it doesn't have to be that way. Horrocks, there's a space. There we go. Horrocks extended a tendril to him. Take my gift instead, and you will be free to live your life as you see fit. And your gift is? Silas already knew he wasn't willing to take it. Looks like I kind of... Oops, shit, no. Cancel. What did I just do? Thankfully, apparently nothing. Technically, you'd become my servant. Your mind would forever be bound to my will. Though if I ever summon you or call you to action, you will largely... Though if I never summon you or call you to action, you will largely live your own life free of influence. I have no real use for thralls since I travel so often. In exchange for your servitude, you will gain a portion of my strength. A meager amount, but far more than fully merging with Kytax could ever give you. And you can feel free to use that power to protect your family as long as you want. Slay minions of the void and mortals alike. It matters not to me, and I have no intention of ever making use of you. I've done what I do alone since the beginning of time, and will continue to do so without the needing anyone else's assistance. Now, Hark slithered around the desk. Do you possess the foresight your predecessors lacked? Will you accept this gift that you might live out the rest of your life in peace, or will you resist me and fly to the gaping maw of Kytax's temptations? What has he drawn the others with? Oh, the same. Promise of a better life. Promise of the strength to defend the ones they love. You're not special, Silas. You are not unique. You are merely one of countless many. Though with your inevitable death, Kytex will finally perish as well. I will finally be free of his meager influence, and this talk I've had ad nauseum for countless millennia. Thankfully, once I devour you, I'll not have to ever do it again. Yep. And who said I don't? Ask yourself truly, Silas, which would you rather? Live your life a servant to the creature that diametrically opposes everything you mortals hold dear, or die in a last attempt at resistance. This is the decision you must make, here and now. And what do you expect me to run? Silas shrank back into his chair in some vain attempt to become one with it and vanish from this moment in time. I don't think that needs to be there. Run, Silas, and know that I will give chase, but it's not like you nor any mortal to give up your freedom so easily. As I consume all that you are, perhaps I will offer you one last chance to serve me over death, but I doubt the thought will cross my mind in such a heated moment. Hands clenched the armrests of his chair. Silas was already poised to make a break for it, but he wasn't certain he had the strength nor the energy to escape the Void Lord's grasp. Believe me when I say I liked you very much, Silas, truly. I find little fondness for mortals, but I found a strange fondness with you. It would be my luck that you were his herald, Henley. Call me what you want, but it changes nothing. There is no humanity in me to appeal to. Know this well, dear Silas, that even should you escape, you will still perish. Your death, as of this moment, is inevitable. Kytax? A chilling grin slipped across Sarx's narrow features. He did not tell you the nature of your arrangement. We merge, we both live, that's at what price? A fear shot through every inch of Silas's being. What is the cost of such an endeavor? Surely you are not fool enough to think it comes at no expense. For Kytax to be born anew, you, my poor delicious little mortal, must die. Every doubt Jaren had about Kytax came flooding back. That may be true, but I won't stay dead. I'll come back. That's what Kytax promised. If I make it there, I'll leave alive. And you believe him? Silas's lips flapped and his mouth gaped open and closed, searching desperately for a response. We can be like mirrors, showing mortals what they need to see, reflecting their own insecurities back to them like to create a bond, fooling them into trusting us. Like you tried to do with me? Silas bellowed as he... Oh, that should have been a little more energy. Bellowed as he stood up from his seat, no longer content with being spoken down to. It was you, wasn't it? His eyes were on fire. The cliff, the dream, you tried to kill me. You. It was you. I fucking knew it. Oh, bleep. And Kytax intervened every time. So why should I trust you over him, then? I don't need that, then. If you're both conniving monsters and you've tried to kill me and he tried to prevent that, why should I take your word over his? Why should I trust you? I never suggested such a thing. In fact, I would suggest you trust no one and nothing of the void, or even mortals and their lies. But alas, that advice will go unused, for you will never leave this place. You, Silas, you used my son against me. You tried to use him to kill me. You tried to kill me right in front of him. You... I wanted nothing more than to spare you the cruel fate that now awaits you. On the slight chance you manage to escape and rendezvous with your patron lord, your life will only get worse from that moment on. I only wanted to spare you from all of this, but you fought, and Kytax stood in my way. Then yes, I do trust Kytax. I trust him far more than I could ever trust something like you. A sharp laugh came from Henley's slender form. It grew into a chuckle. It burst into cruel laughter, exploded into an uncontrollable cackle. Bless your mortal heart, Silas. Bless it from whatever being you believe in. Silas stared at him, his gaze narrowing, his fists clenching at his sides. I'm not your plaything, Henley. Let's get this over with. A deep echoing sigh came from Hark's form. I will mourn this day until your world collapses and I'm forced on to the next. Forced? Even though Silas was poised on the edge of adrenaline rush, he couldn't ignore Hark's choice of words. It matters not. Harks, listen, maybe we can work this out. Maybe we can. What was he doing? Why was he saying this? He was at this creature's mercy, and he was offering placation? Why? The tear in Harx's face that made up his mouth turned upward into a grin. I do so appreciate your optimism, Silas. With all life has thrown at you, you remain so strangely positive. Yet he lowered himself into the tip of his tendril leg. But alas, there is no hope for me, just as there is no hope for you. In an instant, Harx's mouth tore open as he lunged for Silas. Throwing himself past the Void Lord, Silas managed to escape evisceration. I'd beg you not to drag this out, but mortal tenacity, the Void Lord chuckled. I know it all too well. One more question, Silas screamed from his chair. What? Aye, very well then. If Nine was your loyal servant, and you supposedly loved him so much, why did you hurt him? A strange look of pain and guilt washed over Harx's distorted features. You mean Kesetex? So he has a new name now. His mind seemed to wander a moment before snapping back to a forlorn present. Whatever. There are so many answers to that question. All I can say is that I am overjoyed to know he is in a better place now. He should have never ended up here. He should never have ended up here. Do you regret anything? You're well over your question allowance, but I will entertain this last inquiry. Do I regret anything? Bloop. Does a predator regret devouring its prey? If one does as they are meant to, can they truly regret their actions? If they have no choice, can there be regret? And yet, the Void Lord sagged. I regret, he sounded on the verge of tears. I regret everything. Harx, what was this he felt? Sympathy for... Harx chuckled. I need not your compassion, mortal. There's always a chance. There's always a choice, Harx. Silas stood up, slamming his hands onto the solid oaken desk. Reeling a short distance, the Void Lord was taken aback. There's always a choice. Silas turned to him, screaming through the tears in his eyes. You chose this. You chose this life. You made the decision to be this way. Why? Harx was caught entirely off guard. You know so little about the Void, mortal. We lords have no choice in our roles. In fact, we once envied you mortals for your freedom to choose your paths. We paid the price for that envy, and never again did we see your, what was it called? Free will, something to be desired. You can still make the choice to change. You can still choose to change. Can a wolf become a sheep? Can a predator become the very thing it hunts? Can a rock become air? Can anything change the fundamental nature of its existence? You're not a rock, you're not a wolf. You clearly have thoughts and feelings. And they do not matter. Not to you, not to anyone. But you are correct. I did make a choice. Obey or die. I chose to obey. For better or worse, that was my decision. From that decision became this burden. Do you think I enjoy this? Traveling across time and space at the whim of my father's rage? Meeting people, making friends, watching them die, killing them? Harx's writhing wreath of tendrils settled down weakly behind him. It's always the same, Silas. You're always the same. I find you, or you find me. I find something in you worth sparing. You, a mortal, would rather die than obey. It's the same, every time. And that, here we go. He moved within mere inches of Silas's face, is how we are so fundamentally different. There's a space there? Yes. Because I won't bow to you? It is in the minds of all mortals to avoid unwilling servitude. It is programmed in the chaos of your little brains to avoid being controlled. Sure, you perform your best under an iron thumb. Sure, your potential truly shines when it's pressed into perfection, but even the most malleable sheep would want for more eventually. Harx. Silas stood tall, refusing to break their locked gaze. Is there any way you'd ever consider not being evil? A long, yet narrow grin split across Horrocks's lips. I told you, Silas, I have no choice, and evil is relative. I thought you were smarter than this. Silas shook his head. Would you break the cycle if you had the chance? Were I the only life at stake? Yes, but alas, I am responsible for more than myself. Wait, what? This might be what I confused Sorry for. The Void Lord shook his head. The time is up, Silas. You've gotten enough exposition for this round. Perhaps the vile filth that is Kaitax will enlighten you a bit more. And hey, he shrugged. If you make it back, I'd be happy to speak again, but this is it. This is the end of you, and I am so very sorry. The door to the office swung open. Run, little Silas. Run to your lord. If anyone could make it, and I don't believe anyone can, it would be you. Go, now, run. But no, you cannot escape. Silas didn't need a second thought before he darted out of the office and into the darkness of the riftworks. For a long few moments, no sounds but those of his failing machinery or loose metal banging together filled his ears. He wanted to understand the lack of hearing something chasing him. He wanted to understand the lack of hearing something chasing him as a good sign, yet he knew that soon enough, just keep moving. And that is his own thoughts, so we don't have to code that for Kaitax. The sounds of horrifying chase finally met his ears. Tendrils slammed against walls as Horrocks carried himself down the hall not far behind Silas's wavering steps. Darting in and out of doors and corridors, Horrocks was never far behind him, slamming into windows and door frames to maintain his ludicrous speed. Silas knew he was going the wrong way to reach the rift. He had to find a way to turn around. Kicking in a vent, he jammed his slender form inside the air ducts. Horrocks' warped, snarling face appeared behind him. Running only makes it harder on you. Lie down, Silas, and I'll grant you a merciful end. Silas screamed into the darkness. He screamed to the ducts. You won't even feel a thing. The wicked cackle followed Silas down as he scrambled through the aluminum tubing. Much to his chagrin, he could hear Horrocks clamming along his tendrils just outside the vent. Nothing stood in his way. Glass and furniture shattered upon impact with his rampage. I can feel you, Silas. Smell you. I can almost... A tendril burst through the vent directly in front of Silas. Horrocks' head appeared. Taste you. He lunged into the ductwork, mouth agape. It split... In a split second he had, Silas managed to kick out the side vent just as Horrocks slid past him down the conduit. The floor was further beneath him than he'd thought. He clung to the edge of the vent, knowing the fall would be the end of him. Allow me. A long, golden, undulating tongue slipped between his mangled lips. It wrapped its way down Silas's arms, forcing him to release the side of the vent. Screaming and struggling with all his might, he knew it would be of no use. Do you trust me, Silas? Silas closed his eyes tightly. I'm just going to actually get rid of that Silas part. Do you trust me? Silas closed his eyes tightly, hands lodged in Horrocks' maw, his breath hot on his face. He had no choice. Yes. Eyes burst open with a violent flame. Electrical current formed around Silas' body, coursing up through his arms down Horrocks' throat. The current was enough to send him reeling back into the air duct with an unearthly scream. Silas plummeted to the floor, bracing himself for impact. Bracing for the impact, he knew would either break his legs or knock him out completely. He found he never actually hit. Bracing himself for the impact he knew would either break his legs or knock him out completely, he found he never actually hit. Opening his eyes, he found himself being held up by a small gathering of tendrils that had come from behind him. Laughing in a strange sense of relief, he lowered himself onto his feet. I'm alive, he breathed. Horrocks appeared once more in the opening to the duct, shrieking incoherently. Silas was immediately made a run for it. If his understanding of the works was correct, he was only a few corridors away from the central port. He only had to make it that far, and he'd be free. What awaited him on the other side, he could only guess, but he stood a far better chance there than here. Once more, he could hear Horrocks clamoring behind him, taunting him with threats of futility, of Kaitax's lies, of going after his family. He had to ignore it. If he died here, he'd never be able to do anything for anyone. He'd just be gone, truly useless. No, he ran as fast as he could, his lungs on fire. With every step, his legs threatened to give way. He was so close, yet so damningly far. We don't need all those ellipses. Please, he whispered. Please, please, please. Oh, please, he wheezed. Please, please, please. Do you still trust me, Silas? He couldn't speak, but he responded with a barely coherent thought. Silas screamed as his newfound tendrils lifted him from the floor. They repelled him forward against the surface they came every surface they came in contact with. He found he had a vague control over his movement, but it was more the thought of escaping that made them clatter along the hall. Horrocks laughed maniacally before the sound of his own clamoring came to a halt. Silas paused a moment to find his pursuer missing. Panic spiked as he forced himself to press on. The central hatch. He could see it now, mere feet away. A corridor hatch slammed shut. No, Silas bellowed at the top of his air-starved lungs. No, 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 I can't die. I can't die. Not like this. Not like... With a loud bang, he spun around, pressing his back into the cold steel. Now read a little fast. What did I tell you, Silas? Horrocks stood upright on his tendrils. You cannot escape. I know this place. I built it. I control it. You? I admit you are the most knowledgeable human, but you can only do so much, and I commend your efforts, as I told you. But, as I told you, they were not enough. Horrocks began crawling down the hall towards him. Silas knew that in this instant that unless he could pull off a miracle, he was going to be Void Lord food in a matter of seconds. His eyes darted around the hall, head swirling on his shoulders. There had to be something. There had to be an idea hit him. Goodbye, my mortal friend. Know that though this world will forget you, I will not. I will always remember. As I have done before, so too shall I now. Horrocks' jaw split open in three directions. It was more than half a breath later that he lunged with all his strength towards Silas's cornered form. For the first time in his life, Silas was grateful for his lithe features. Sliding down to the floor, he used his tendrils to press against the corridor to propel himself under the monstrosity's body. He managed to pass completely behind Horrocks and bounced onto his feet as if he wasn't already exhausted. The loud thud of tendrils coming in contact with metal, followed by yet another shrill, hollering cry, followed him as he ran back down the hall. He had to go up a floor. There'd be another entrance to the rift up there, but there was one more thing of use: the entrance. Hitting the stairwell, Silas was quickly aware of the compromising position he'd be in the entire way up. He'd practically be sitting duck for Horrocks to tear apart. Shit. He had to move. He couldn't stop. One step on the stairs, and his tendrils shot out for the walls, lifting him up the first flight. Turning on the landing, he reached out higher with more control, bringing himself to where he wanted to be just in time to hear Horrocks' screams echoing up the shaft. Legs aching, breath shaking, Silas ran. The main entrance wasn't far now. It was just a matter of getting there and getting Horrocks in there with him. Reaching for the gaping entrance to the antechamber, Silas paused to be certain he could hear his pursuer. He made sure he knew at every moment where the fallen hatch was. Silence. The sounds of roaring and collapsing material came from behind him. Spinning around, he saw Horrocks, covered in dirt and dust and dirt. It seems you missed a spot, Silas. He brushed the soot from his shoulders. I'll just dock your pay for your negligence. The trap had been set, and he'd been foolish enough to fall for it. Lunging once more for Silas, the mortal dove to the side, allowing the Void Lord to fly headlong into the sanitization chamber. Prepare. The glaring white light burst on. Sanitize, you bastard. Silas lifted the hatch shut and listened as the chemicals hissed into the chamber. Shrieks of pain and terror burst from within. Silas leaned against the door with all his strength, pressing it up against the Void Lord's flailing tendrils. Part of him wanted to look through the porthole, but he knew he couldn't spare that moment of shock. Once the screaming died down, Silas bolted away from the door, allowing it to fall open once more. Glancing back, he saw a single yellow tendril lying on the floor. Part of him felt regret. But there was no time for that now. There was no way Horrocks was actually dead, though Silas did feel an intense sense of relief seeing part of him lying lifelessly. It was proof enough that he no longer had to run at full speed. Oh, I gotta change his last name. Forgot. I gotta do that in chapter 1 too. Let me make a note of this. I don't know when it became Kincaid. Weirdness. Welcome, Miss Cadence. Another unearthly roar came from the room directly behind him. There was no time to react as a cabinet of some kind burst through the wall. To avoid being crushed, Silas leapt back from the opening, though not far enough to avoid his legs becoming trapped. Shrieking, clamoring tendrils flew out into the central chamber. Lying on the floor, mere feet from his escape, Silas could... Oh no. Hall. The central chamber is where the rift is. If he's coming from like an office into the hall, he's not going out into the center chamber, because that's not where Silas is. He's still in the hall. Lying on the floor, mere feet from his escape, Silas could feel his body failing. The sound of Horrocks searching for him was all he could hear over his racing breath. He was so close. He had no idea if he had the strength to continue. To dodge the devil one last time. To Silas, this was the end. Sighing quietly, he took his phone from his pocket. Opening a group text, he sent a single word. Bub snap. Horrocks stood out in the central area, roaring and shrieking what could have been words, but they resembled nothing more than the maddening cries of a confused predator. His skin was red and torn in places. Raw, flailing tendrils surrounded him. His flesh flapped and yellow blood dripped from every opening. Horrocks shouldn't have been alive. Silas. His own name repeated endlessly through his mind. Every inflection. Silas, you stupid, you idiot, stupid. Go, run, Silas. Jaren? We'll be here. We'll always be here. Go. Oh, it's sappy now. Silas found the strength to shove the cabinet off him. And please come back, for better or worse, we need you. Darting into this... Wow. Oh, one of those things is here. Darting into the central field, he managed to slip past Horrocks' writhing form. Whether you save the world or not, whether you do anything more than survive, it doesn't matter. We'll be here. A yellow tendril wrapped around his neck. We'll always be here. A shock of violet shot through his fingertips, severing the tendril from its owner. Horrocks shrieked uncontrollably. I love you. We love you. With every ounce of energy he had left, Silas Sinclair threw himself into the void. A single thought, not his own, echoed through his suddenly placid mind. I knew you would find a way. Say hello to Brother Kitex for me, won't you? And do not worry. I'll be here, waiting for you and only you, dear Silas. Is it gone? Did I get rid of it? We'll check the live version when we're done. Searing pain tore through flesh and flew fresh in my baptism by flame, consumed by nothing, yet 1,000 teeth could be felt tearing at his limbs, and then nothing. He could feel nothing. No body, barely a mind, not a thought. Existence? Was this feeling existence? Or was it the opposite? Was this death? Death. The cold, empty peace, it had to be. This cold, empty peace, it had to be, it must be. Death. A weak thought formed from a consciousness in critical state of free-falling. Good. At least, I tried. I had to try. This was the right thing, wasn't it? I did the right thing. Green, furious lights lit up before him, staring with an alien sense of malice, wide, burning, enraged. Interesting. Who is this? And who are these? I'm asking questions about my own lore. Oh, this is pink. Why did I give him... Oh, he must have been green. Wow, these colors were all over the place. This is pink. We're just going to give him a generic fleshy pink. Yeah, this is pink, and it's important that it's just important. His mind couldn't make sense of what he was seeing, nor could it parse the shrieks and growls that now filled his dying senses. It left a single thought in his mind as the... I gotta come up with a better word than pink. As the pink, staring orbs joined together as one brilliant, horrifying light. A light he couldn't help but drift towards. Mortal usurper, the void will never be yours. Never will your kind take from me again. Never. Take. What did we, a tendril larger than anything his weakened consciousness could comprehend, reach for him in the dark nothingness? This is an established voice. Wherever is red is an established voice. Red is an established... Now pink. Okay. So that means red is now free to be... Red is free to be one of these fuckers again. There's 9 of them. Minus 3, so there's 6 of them. So there's 6 separate colors possible. 7 including El Daddy. We'll make one orange. We'll make one red. They don't all have to be talking. I know there's one of them that doesn't talk. We'll make it just go in a circle. This is orange again. And this can just be red again. And this can be pink again. This can be... Yeah, this is going to be pink again. This is going to be blue. Actually, blue can't be speaking. Oh, that's dark blue. I see. I gave them 2 shades of blue. So there's, like... This blue? Yeah. And this blue. Interesting. I don't know how that's going to hold up. Anyway, Kitex must die a million times over. Silence, silence, silence. Basically, Kitex must die. Silence. The traitor must be punished. Silence. You will not escape, feeble mortal mind. Silence. A bolt of lightning shot through the furious... Now he's red. See how I went from green to red? It shrieked and reeled in pain. A foul-smelling liquid seeped from inside. Harlot. I see you, mortal. I see you, and I know your foolish plot. I see your tie to the treacherous cur that is Kitex. I see you, and I see fit to let you through. Go, entertain us. The dream isn't what it once was, so all eyes have turned to you and your folly. Sing and dance for us, and we will let you live. A single fleeting thought crossed his addled mind before darkness took hold. Where am I? Ah, here you get to see the... I think I showed them at one point. The title letters I used to use. I'm tempted to go back to them because these look really bare bones without something. Some kind of imagery at the beginning. Sorry. Almost done, as you can... you can't see it anywhere. It's behind the graphic, but we're almost done. We are going to get rid of this graphic, though. Maybe we'll just see if we can delete it. Trash. Cold, ash, dust. Air rushed as he plummeted towards the dead world below. A lone figure stood on the cliff's edge, overlooking what would once been an ocean. Long, twisting protrusions coming from where its eyes should have been. It watched as a body fell from the sky, landing on Earth, softened by incinerated remains of their world. That's the one. It's not as though mortals fall from the void every day. Now is not the time. Sorry. Yes, my lord. The tendrils writhing aimlessly in the sky suddenly fell still. Quickly. Did I mention there anything? Okay, whatever. The tendrils writhing aimlessly in the sky suddenly fell still. Quickly. They arched toward the figure and their quarry. Sorry now. In a burst of violet light, they appeared beside the body, A tendril dove towards them. In another burst of light, they appeared in a pitch-black cavern. Bloop, 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 bloop. A violet light shot through the cavern as a familiar visage appeared before them. You are alive, it breathed a sigh of relief. I knew you'd make it. A humanoid torso lifted high on a single thick tendril. 6 horizontal slats glowed with the light from small 4-pointed stars in their sockets. It smiled at him, a wide, jagged-toothed grin, wider than it should have been. It stretched across both sides of its head. No nose, no lips, only eyes and a horrifying maw, though it did seem to have a well-kept head of hair. And yet, somehow, Silas took comfort in the creature's grin. It felt familiar and welcoming. He knew who it was upon seeing him. He knew who it was he was seeing before him. Kaitax? Silas grogged, barely able to think. In the flesh. Yay! We have completed chapter 7. Not bad. Before we paste it into Wattpad, I just want to clear up those chapter thingamajiggers that I hate. Yeah, fuck, it's still there. Oh wait, we didn't update. Press the button. Refresh. Still there. They hide. They like sticking around too long. Somehow, for some reason. This all happened because when I switched from the Gutenberg format or whatever to classic editing, yeah, see, they're hard to get rid of. I think I can find them in the, I'm gonna have to open the HTML. HTML. Okay. I think this is it. Nope. That wasn't it. Okay. How does this begin? Searing pain. Image. Image. Oh. Well, we're on the wrong page, to be sure. Alright, that one's gone. So that's going to be hidden in an image. Where am I? I believe that's how this next page ends. Yes. Whoa! Mythics, you're hard to read. Maybe she should be light blue. There's a whole chapter of her yelling at Silas, so maybe we should change that. I don't know where to delete this without breaking everything. Cool, it's gone. Yay! It's all gone. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, we're done on that front. Someday, I'll have Wattpad already up and going. And we're on chapter 7. Stoink. Alrighty, so we're gonna go back to visual. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh my god, are you working again? Are you working again, Grammarly? Oh, I'm so happy. What was wrong with you? Yeah, we don't like any of their names. I know, they're all fucked up, weird names. What was that problem? Boy, I didn't pick up some of this shit. Oh no, this might not be a fully good. Just keep an eye out for red. I was starting to wonder where all the red lines were. Archaic English is not bad English. Oh my god, it's so hot in here. One too many dots in the ellipses. Oh, fuck, I'll let it go for now. Ah, shit, you know. They're minor. Hyphens and shit. We're gonna go ahead and take this. I'm just gonna make a note that there are some, ooh, sorry, that was rubbing against my notebook, hitting up against the microphone. Sorry about that. Chapter 7. Minor typos. Grammarly stopped working. Alright, we're going to just call it quits anyway on this. So, we are going to pull this up. Bop, bop, bop. Alrighty. Bop, 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 bop. Yeah, I think I'm going to switch her color with the light blue, because I think that's the blue I ended up actually using in her her graphics. So I'll have to fix her coloring. Da 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 da. I'll fix it on here. It has no. Nope. Yep. Yep. Wow. Still clamoring wrong. Yeah, well, we missed a lot. Thanks for kicking at the end, Grammarly. Sorry. A little quiet. No, it's supposed to be repeated. Well, the Wattpad's good. Yay. Oh, we didn't copy this last bit. Did we? This doesn't look familiar. Oh my fucking god. Oh, we did. Sweetie. Oh, we forgot to put that extra ellipses in, didn't we? No, we did. Yay! Foul smelling. Got rid of the comma. No. No. Yes. Hyphenate the... Oh, one word. Yo. I'm just glad Grammarly's working yet. I really do think it was just these little windows were, these little pop-ups were showing up someplace else. I think Kai taxon ad nauseum. Huh? Nope. Good. Update. I think we caught it all. Maybe we didn't. Who knows? There's always that chance that it's still incomplete. So there we have it. I just voted for my own story. Yeah. 32 in Eldritch. We're doing okay here. I'm actually kind of impressed. The best I think I've done is 28, so that's not far off. Then again, I also don't know how those are calculated at all, because people aren't looking at it. Is it just, it's my update pattern that it's, being upkept more than the other people in the genre? I don't know. 68 in tentacles. I don't even know why I have that tag. But I do. So yeah, we are done. I guess ideally what I really should be doing is taking the time to read other people's Wattpad stuff to get them to read my Wattpad stuff. I know you have to go back and forth. And I feel really selfish in saying that. I'm not sure I have time. I can make it happen. Because I do still play video games every once in a while. Instead of playing a video game, I should go read somebody something. I should really be doing more on WordPress too in that community. And I'm not. Close. So, what's the next chapter? Oh. Blood Red Skies. Okay, now this was a title somebody actually recommended me. I keep leaning away. I went on Twitter and I was like, I cannot come up with the name for this chapter. And somebody said Blood Red Skies, and he gave me, I was like, listening to the song, like, yeah, that'll do. It was kind of perfect. Oh, this is a 12,000 word mess. Judas Priest. This is going to be a long one. This might even be a two-parter. Yeah, I already see typos. We're not doing this right now, though. We'll do it when the time comes. Yay, I don't even have a title for it. 5 days ago. Oh, when I scheduled it. Interesting that they show that now. I also changed my scheme to night scheme. Oh, the RP writing game. Here's that video I told you I made. The audio got botched. Visuals look okay when they're not moving. When the video's not rolling. It's the weirdest thing. As soon as the video starts rolling, it turns all blurry and sawtoothy. It doesn't sound that bad. It just doesn't sound... I don't have the audio on. I'm afraid it'll sound even worse if I pipe it through this thing. Yeah, and here are the classes. You can click any of these to go to their forum. Let's just do engineer because we have that set up. You go to click engineer. Here's engineer forum. And you get your display name, your email address, and you get added to... Oh, excuse me. The point list. You too can be an engineer. And I'm doing class videos. Engineers was done today. So tomorrow, I'm doing them in order of days of the week. So tomorrow will be Spawn Tamer. These are on the page in alphabetical order. I know. I should really redo it in like day order, but I wanted to keep them divided by magic on the page. So tomorrow will be Spawn Tamer. And that's veterinarians or whoever likes animals. I hope everybody likes animals. There better not be anybody in here who hates animals. Because you don't belong here. Go away. Shoo. But, oh, good lord. It's only 11 o'clock. Oh, my sleep schedule's weirdly off still. Like, I, for a while there, I'd be going to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning. Waking up at, I'm embarrassed to say, like noon. Now I'm going to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock. And I'm waking up at 7. This is good. But then I'll just like lay back down. Next thing I know, it's noon again. So it's like, I'm blaming it on the depression and the fact that I don't have a fucking schedule to live by right now. All my days are, this one's slower. All my days are pretty much just spent working on this and maybe spending a little bit playing video games, but it's mostly working on this. I have to talk to my brother about some form stuff, but that's for later. Anyway, yep, so right now you can pick a class. And the gist of it is daily prompts and class prompts. You'll be earning XP, leveling up, getting points, changing how you play the game. It's really pretty straightforward. Somewhere down the line, there'll be, I'll introduce more dynamic things to it, but that's how it's actually going to start, where you just gain points and level up. There's nothing to spend the points on right now. I'm not going to focus on the store because I need to focus on the point system more than the store, because everybody who wants to buy something is going to have to manually go through me, because I don't have the ability to, I don't know how yet to create a point store, because everybody's credit gets funneled into a system and then it gets depleted as they whatever. You know what I mean? I really need to talk to an actual like web developer or something like that about that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's the other thing. That's my little aside there, and maybe check it out if you like it. Yep, and I did. Like I said, I overhauled the site. All the old sections that were here are here now. Triggers and war rating info. My web series about the author and support the series. Obviously, I stick that shit on the bottom because I'm embarrassed to even like ask. I did this shitty art. I liked it enough to make it the background, and as you probably can tell, it's also my image on the YouTube page. But yeah, not much else changed. Oh, at the bottom there's the Instagram feed, which I 2 days now I haven't done anything with it. I figure it needs to sit a little bit, and it really doesn't. It really should still be posting, but so my best traction comes when I ignore it for a little while. I don't know how it works. I don't know how Instagram works. Anyway, I'm gonna have some water, and I'm gonna see if I'm still tired. For now, looks like I'm tired. So, nobody tuned in. Aww. That's okay. Oh, 852 by 480. God help me, I don't know where that resolution came from. That's okay. Yeah, so this is over. And, I'm just trying to figure out how to close it because I'm not good at this. Back in high school? Oh god, back in high school, my friend who lived down the road, and I'm talking she was maybe a mile from my house. Maybe 2. But it was like I was on a main highway and I was like diagonally to the back would be her house. It was almost a straight shot. Actually, it really wasn't. You had to go down one of the worst roads in the frickin' county. She was technically the next town over, believe it or not. So calling her was a long distance fucking call. I could like walk to her house. I mean, it wasn't safe. These roads were not safe, but I could probably walk to her house in a matter of like maybe an hour, maybe less. A car ride was like 5 minutes, if not less. And we'd be on the phone for freaking ever, and half the time it would be because we couldn't figure out how to hang up the damn phone. That was more with my grandma, because my mom would eventually can it on us one way or another. But that was when I was living with my grandma. Now, that was the next town over, but it was still only like 10 miles apart. And that was a long distance call too. My grandma was way too lenient with that too. She would let me be on the phone for like hours and just rack up the long distance calls. Yes, this was back when I'm not. It wasn't that long ago. Things have just changed that quickly. Back when you paid for time, and like local would be free or something like that till prime time, like 7 o'clock, and then long distance was free until prime time or something. I don't remember. All I know is that by the time I call her, it would be prime time and there'd be money being paid. I don't remember how much it was. Something a minute. God, that was dumb. But that was how it worked back then. So rather than keep talking and rack up long distance calls, I'm gonna just say goodnight and get this uploaded. Good night. Where is the... Yeah, there it is. Yay. Good night.